how current production in a capitalist system is used to serve past private accumulation. And this is why, like, what is it? Only 40 families control 75% of the wealth of the country. And every time you go to work for a
Yeah,
wage,
that's
you're paying a
ridiculous.
wealth tax. You're paying to make someone else rich. But the problem is, I
Yep.
can't even do that. Our schools don't even teach you what socialism is. It doesn't teach you what Marxism is. It doesn't tell you that you're being turned into wage slaves. I mean, so how am I going to
Yep.
change anything and have future leaders that have protests and movements when they don't even know anything?
Hmm. Oh yeah, the education system keeps us dumb and ignorant, so that we don't know these things. I mean, they don't even teach us about credit scores. Are you kidding me? Like, credit scores affect our entire lives, at least here in the United States. So
You
they
don't need
don't
to know
teach us
about credit
anything about
scores.
that.
You need to know about your labor and how it helps the wealthy.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's like be on time, do your math. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's
but here's the
They
because
problem.
it's
But here's the
because we're
problem.
too busy wanting to teach that you can be a different gender.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, but Tom, the point is that while there are benefits of socialism, capitalism, the problem is in practice when those people, when the system is changed, okay, the people that supported those policies and those ideals then are humans, are then corrupted, end up not upholding those ideals, and we've seen that throughout the world. To find someone that's going to be an idealist and keep their idealism even when they have to make decisions that hurt themselves, that is rare, hard to find, and it's not what we've seen throughout human history, unfortunately.
Dan, I agree with you a lot about the reality of stuff. Although I will have to say that this whole blaming it on the humanity aspect, it's just it harkens back to the reason religion got started. Here's a God who abandons his creation, who literally kicks his own made in his image creation out of the garden, right? But at the end of the day, it's our fault. We're just sinners. We couldn't make dinner at 6. And that's why we got slapped, right? We sound like someone who was domestically abused, when in reality, there's many stories of people who the emperor who has no clothes comes to mind. It just took one person to say that. It just takes one person with courage, and the reason we don't
Right,
have
right.
those
But Tom,
people is
Tommy,
because we have a military-industrial complex,
yeah,
Wall
but
Street, and the
Tommy,
banks that work in tandem, and then we have a deep
Tom.
state that assassinates and kills those people
No,
before they even get started.
there's no deep state. First of all, the emperor has no clothes is
I
not
mean,
a
there is a
historical
deep
story.
state. It's
No,
been
there isn't.
proven.
I worked in the government, Tom. We can have a conversation later. There's no deep
Okay, well,
state.
what do you call it, Dan?
Stop.
What do you wait, real quick? Just what? Don't tell me to stop. I just have a question for you. Then I'll
No,
stop. Okay. What do you call people that are not elected, that sit in a office of law enforcement, Department of Justice, for over 20 years, and then can establish news organizations to write whatever they want them to with an Operation Mockingbird that is actually, I mean, do you believe in Operation Mockingbird? It
I
happened.
don't even know what that is. No, I don't know what that is. But I can tell you from the
Okay, if you could
federal
just look
government.
that up. If you could just look
Let
that
me
up.
give you. Let me answer your question. From
Yes,
the
go ahead.
federal
I'm sorry.
government perspective, I call those people bureaucrats because that's what they are. Because I was one. Okay, these are the people who are not elected, but who have to follow the laws and will get thrown in jail if they do not. And their job is to execute the law as written by
Oh,
Congress.
so
Okay.
torture is part of the law. Is torture part of the law? Enhanced interrogation?
No,
Is torture part of the law?
again, I'm not. I can't speak to that. But like,
So they
taxes are
don't
part of the
follow the
law.
laws, Dan. So
We do. You're not
I just
Tommy.
debunked that.
Listen to me.
Tommy.
You're
Just
not
saying, bro.
listening to me.
I'm
The
listening.
people that
I
work at
really
the
am.
IRS, not a single
I'm not
bureaucrat.
talking about the IRS.
No, no. Listen to
Who are you
me.
All right.
talking about?
Not
Okay,
a
go ahead.
single person in the IRS violates the law as written. Now, you might argue that the law is not fair. But that's not their job. Their job is to enforce the law as written, because otherwise they would be basically being treasonous. Because you take an oath to the Constitution that says you will uphold the values of the Constitution, which includes if Congress passes a law, whether you don't like it or not, you're going to uphold it. That's what you have to do. So
Right.
these are
And
not people.
so
They're not.
I'm not
Stop.
talking
Stop.
about the
Hold on.
IRS.
Wait.
I was
Wait.
talking
Wait.
about James
Just
Clapper.
land the plane here.
I was
These
talking
are
about
not
James Clapper.
people. It's very rare to have somebody that goes rogue and decides to not do that. Most of these people are doing it because you'll get thrown in jail if you don't do that. So if you're saying there's a deep state, they are just doing what the law says. You can argue the law sucks, but you can't say that these people are manipulating the law because they are not.
So you're Jen. I listened to what you said, but you're fundamentally ignorant about the facts. James Clapper went on Rachel Maddow and talked about this whole Steele dossier, which turned out to be a hoax. And we, of course, all know about the weapons of mass destruction, and we, of course, all know about the enhanced interrogation. But I guess this is not the place to talk about that here. So, Dan, I followed you. Disagree with some of your stuff, but I'd like to talk to you definitely in the future, man. We could talk about some things. You're not ignorant about everything. Just about what the CIA and the FBI are doing.
No, I can't speak to CIA and FBI, but here, my point is, you have to understand the difference between a political appointee and a civil servant in the federal government. And if you don't know the difference, then you're conflating the two. So there can't be a deep state. These political appointees come in and have to and are designed to follow the agenda of the current administration. They last 4 years. They are gone after that. And after that, someone else comes in with a different set of policies. But the people who are the civil servants are not beholden to any of that bullshit. As a matter of fact, they often have conflict with the political appointees, and their job is to uphold the law as written by Congress. So hence, there's no deep state. Now, you can say that there are political appointees that come in and try to fuck with the system. You're absolutely correct about that. But that's not a deep state.
Okay, so can someone explain to me what a deep state is? Because this is all new to me.
The notion that there is basically a bunch of unelected people in government that are doing things against the will of the American people. And that's just not true.
Oh, okay.
I mean, political appointees may come in and try to do an agenda, but they are not deep state because they don't last more than 4 years.
So I feel like we have a confusion about semantics. You talked about the contrasting points of civil servants, and then what was the other choice? Because
political appointees. If you don't know the difference, you don't know how our federal government works.
I know how the federal government works, but I do realize that all these people care about is campaign finance contributions. So nobody's a civil servant, really.
No, you're wrong. Okay,
anymore.
Stop.
I'm okay.
You're
wrong.
That's
my opinion.
No, it's not your opinion.
Okay, Dan.
Okay, let's be clear. These are not.
All right. I mean, I could give you some proof.
Tommy.
But go ahead.
Let me be clear. The vast majority of people that run, it's really simple. The vast majority of people are not political appointees in the government. You can look and see how many political appointees there are in each cabinet agency, and they're a very small number. Everyone else is a civil servant. So my point, and I agree with you.
Aren't elected.
Right, none of these people are elected. None are elected. Okay, my point is that the political appointees, you are right. They are trying to serve the agenda of the administration. I'm not going to argue whether or not their agenda is to make money for their people. It could be. My point is that they last at a maximum of 4 years, often less because it takes a year for them to get into position usually. And when they're gone, whatever influence they had over that agency is gone when they walk out the door. So the notion that there is a embedded part of our federal government that over decades follows some agenda is just flat out wrong. For 3 years, 4 years, yeah, but the influence is not to the level that you think it is, because I've worked in the federal government and I've seen it. And guess what? Most of the civil servants, if the political appointee is trying to do something that is against what Congress has done, they will fight against it. Believe it or not, they do. There is no mechanism in the government for decades to carry on policies. If there are carrying on policies, those policies are encoded in law by our Congress. That's the only time that happens.
So I didn't even make the point that they're going against Congress. In fact, I make the point that Congress is complicit with them. In fact, I make the point that, in fact, the reason that they didn't like Trump so much was because he didn't want to sign all the shit that they were asking him to sign about drone strikes and bombing people and the Kurds and all that stuff. And Obama signed everything. He was a good middle manager, like they explained. And he drone struck a Yemeni's weddings. He killed American citizens without a trial, which is a war crime. Which is a war crime.
Well, again,
right? Is it not a war crime?
Yeah, but I can't speak to that honestly, but it is under his executive right to issue those orders, whether they're correct or not. That we can talk about, but it's not like illegal.
The Constitution says we get due process. American citizens get due process. We need a trial.
No, you do realize. No, you do realize that part of the role of the executive branch is they can issue executive orders, and the part of the role of our judicial system is to challenge whether those executive orders were legal or not. So
Dan, I would just argue that would mean that all men are not created equal under the Constitution.
No, they are, of course, created equal. What are you talking about?
Well, if an executive officer can override our inalienable rights of life, liberty, and happiness, and then usurp the reins of government to make sure that we do not have due process.
It's not. Stop. You use the word usurp. Stop. It's not usurp.
Yes, I said
usurp. Stop. It is not usurp. It's within the powers that were granted by Congress to the president. Now, you can argue whether or not that specific action the president took was legal. And guess what? We have a process for that. It's called the judicial system. So to say we do, that's how it works.
It's called the people that they appoint. Yeah, totally.
No, not the people that appoint. My point is that Congress said that the president can issue executive orders. The president doesn't go issuing orders because he just feels like it. He has a realm that he is allowed to do that in. And if you think he overstepped that, that's how the judicial system comes in and does a check and balance on that and says, you did, Mr. President, you overstepped your orders. That was illegal. That's how the system works.
How many times does that happen? How many times does that happen?
Just because the system...
It happened under Trump actually several times, including when he was trying to close down the border. They actually said, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
The point is the system may not...
Thank you,
but
thank
the
you,
system
Adorable.
is the system.
That's a good point. Thank you. I was just saying, good point. I was thinking about the enhanced interrogation, weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah,
course,
I
the coups in Venezuela,
DOD,
the regime change wars in Syria.
Here's the problem with DOD, and I can't speak to it. DOD has black budgets and certain privileges written by Congress that I am not aware of, so I can't comment on that. But I know Congress has allowed certain elements of DOD to do things that are off the books. That is part that they literally allowed that. They're called black budgets. Whether you agree with that or not,
that is absolutely against the Constitution. It's unconstitutional.
Well, okay,
the people of the United
States,
in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, promote the general welfare. How are we supposed to do that if there's black books and classified documents?
That's a judicial
matter. This whole thing is absolutely a usurpment of our birthright.
That's something that the judicial system should rule on. But what I'm saying is it's not illegal as written until the judicial system says it is illegal. And if you think that's wrong, okay, awesome. But I'm just telling you that that's how it works now.
Very interesting, Dan. It's very interesting.
I'm not saying I support it, by the way. I don't.
That's interesting. You blame humanity, but you think the justice system is going to rule with fairness.
No, I don't. Of course I don't.
It's interesting.
I said this in Adorable. I was saying this to Adorable. I hate some of the ways that America is right now, but I defend the rights of Americans to, for example, free speech. I hate speech, but I don't want to stifle speech because I don't like some of the shit that's happening. Okay, so I don't think it's the most efficient. I don't think it's always working, and I don't like that. But then what is the alternative? And I think that personally, I'm not saying the system is perfect. It certainly does bad shit, but I would have to really think before we change the system, because I look at other systems and go, they look a little worse to me than other things. So that's all.
I would just say that to leave you with this, I would just say that our founding fathers found another option. And that's all I have to say about that. It was called TAR.
Wait, what did you say? I didn't hear what you said. Their founding fathers.
Our founding fathers, they found another option. Besides,
what was their other option?
It was revolution. It was tar and feather. It was scalping. It was setting fire with the foxtails to the fields of the British, and executing them in their houses.
And that's perfect example of human nature. When we can't figure out things through talking, we resort to violence, and that's
a good point. I'm just telling you what's about to happen if we don't get to a diplomatic agreement about these people taking away our inalienable rights that were written in the Constitution, and thinking that a Department of Justice that was appointed by these tyrants is going to rule fairly on their behalf. If we, it's like Black Lives Matter says, bro. No justice, no peace. It's
No,
not a threat. It's a prophecy, bro.
No,
It's a prophecy.
I agree with you. I really am unhappy about the nature of the Supreme Court, for example, and how Congress played bullshit politics to prevent Merrick Garland and to allow Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh. I'm really pissed off about all that, 100%. However, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, fuck it, revolution time. Because right now I'm on the bad side of the system. But I don't think it necessarily means throw the system out and do something else.
Then the only people I'm not on the bad side are the 1%, bro. International corporations and war profiteers and Wall Street.
It's. Hey, I got news for you, bro. This is not new. It's been that way since America was founded. So if you really think that America ever was a point where the rich didn't rule, the landowners, the white men that had land and money didn't rule, and then eventually just kept going. That's been the birthright of America, not in a good way. I do not support that, but it's human fucking nature, and that's the way it is. And so we have to figure out how to, in civilized society, dismantle that. And it's slow, and it's painful, and it sucks, in my opinion, but it's better than a revolution, in my opinion. So I want to do it civilized. Even if
you think voting is going to do this? What is your solution for this? Just wondering. I thought you said voting.
Yeah, voting. As in, like, and so what's my solution is, well, first of all, if Americans are too stupid to realize what the problems are, then we deserve to keep being put in this situation. Because this is a country ruled by the people. And if the people can't, it is.
JB Diamond.
What?
It's ruled by J.B. Diamond, Jeff Bezos, and of course the unnamed people that own the banks.
No. We have seen over and over again that if the populace decide they want a candidate, doesn't matter how much fucking money is spent, we can change it. We can.
And then what happens, Stan? Then what happens?
What do you mean? Then what happens?
Okay, so what populist are you talking about that won without the 1% backing? And did he accomplish his goals? At all? I don't know what you're talking about, so I'm asking a question.
So I'm saying that there are representatives in Congress that are not beholden to special interests. Not a lot, but there are some.
Who is it?
What's that? You think? Okay, I don't know their character, but I would say that I'm going to say more likely people like Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders are less likely to be beholden to special interests. I'm not saying that they aren't taking contributions from special interests. I'm saying that
would be a good assumption.
If I found out that they were
I would assume that
lying about their policies, I'd be very disappointed.
So Dan,
hold on.
You're very interesting, bro. I have so many questions. I'm sorry, I'm talking the hot spotlight.
So Dan, here's my challenge with this particular topic. So special interest is every politician, right?
Correct.
A mother approaches a politician and said, my daughter was killed by, a guy who illegally had a gun, we should ban guns. They're working on behalf of a special interest. Any interest that somebody approaches a politician and says, I'd like you to consider my agenda, is a special interest. So this whole idea...
Hey, Adorable, I meant, sorry, to clarify, I don't think that they are beholden to just money. If someone says, here, take this money into this position, but I agree with you. Anybody that approaches them is a special interest.
Well, I think every candidate, every elected official is beholden to money, so I would challenge you. But we created that systems as Americans because most voters do not take the time to research and become informed on candidates. So they have learned, look, if a candidate didn't have to take money, it is not an enjoyable process to fundraise. It's terrible. It takes a lot of time. It really, you have to sell your soul. But we, the populace, created that nature where they need so much money because we allow ads and signage and mailers to persuade us instead of actually looking at candidates' values. I mean, dirty politics. People always say, I hate dirty politics. We as a country created dirty politics by allowing it to become so effective.
Did you guys read that New York Times article where the Democrats were actually fundraising for these, they call them the extremist right-wing Carrie Lake and these people. They were literally
I did. I'm appalled by that.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing, right?
I'm appalled by that. I hate that.
And they call them extremists.
ideally, what I would like to see is that, I think it's in Canada or other systems, where you can't raise your own money. The government gives you a set amount of money. This is how much you can spend on your campaign. Live with it. And everybody gets the same amount and we go.
Well, I don't know that I'd say we need to go that route, but like, I'll be honest, one of the ideas I supported, and I actually liked him as a candidate, was Andrew Yang. You know, he talked about democracy dollars, where you give every American $100 a year to invest in political campaigns, which basically means that they become relevant because now they actually hold the cards in terms of total monetary value. Because look, I don't believe in capping elections in the sense that I think any entity has the right to donate as part of their expression of speech. The problem is that the American people as individuals don't hold enough of the weight. But if we had a mechanism to make their value and their relevance just as monetarily important as big business, then we would start to see candidates sway. Look, I mean, because look at it, it's not just big business. You know, we keep saying the 1%, the elite. Why can they control the government? Because they can write the biggest check. The only thing that regular people have to do is to be able to write a bigger check or make the amount of the check irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't know
And
if I
that's
like
why
that,
it
because
sucks to be poor in this country.
it always
One of the
sucks.
reasons,
Yeah,
anyway.
sucks for a period. I mean, no question about that. Yeah, I just want money. I want donations out of politics. I want it
I
out.
agree.
I don't care. I don't want it.
You go, Dan.
I don't.
Get
Yeah,
it, Dan.
out. Completely out. And then yeah, and so then you'd have to basically to get elected, you'd have to actually do what your constituency wanted, theoretically. So
Literally,
I agree with you,
80% of
Tommy.
the country wanted minimum wage rising, and somehow Joe Biden mysteriously and magically got the Senate parliamentarian to actually be relevant. It's almost like, you know, these people have moneyed interests, and they're the only people they care about. I mean, there's proof over and over again with every policy. The codification of Roe v. Wade, is that something that's going to get him reelected? Why does he have to worry about that, Jack? Do some push-ups, Pat. I'm trying to be Joe Biden. Look, buddy.
well, I'm also, and this is going to sound controversial, but I really don't like the notion of our whole Congress, where you have representatives that are sent to Congress in order to represent their district, in the sense of get as much money and benefit they can for their little local area, over and above the benefit of all of America. So I'm a liberal in the sense of I don't want to live in a country where we have 50 different city states with their own patchwork of laws and their own, quality of living. I want to live in a country where I go in this country, we all have some basic standards, where we all have some basic laws that I don't have to worry about whether state A or state B supports it. I think that's bullshit. That's Europe. That's called the EU. And that's not what I want. And that's my liberal leaning.
You're the only one that cares about that. The rest of them our leaders are just wondering one thing: who's going to fund me?
Well,
Who's going to fund me?
again, Tommy, this is what you said. Our leaders. Who are our leaders? Because you see, you can't impose this from the top
like I
down.
said,
It
the
has to
ones
come from
leading the social construct, leading the culture.
it has to
right?
come from the bottom up as a grassroots. Because we've been warned about this. Eisenhower gave a speech where he said, "Beware of the military complex."
Mhm.
What most people don't know or did not bother to check was that actually his original draft of the speech, he said the military congressional complex. And what he was trying to state is that there's this conspiracy between corporations, moneyed interests, and the government. But again, it goes to my earlier complaint, like with socialism, we don't even educate people what any of this stuff means. So where are these future
There's a reason
leaders?
for that,
Or
because of the
where are
New
these
Deal.
future leaders and protesters going to come from? Because they don't even know anything.
Last time there was some kind of socialist education, we got a weekend. We got child labor laws. We got pensions, and we got retirement. We got Social Security. They don't ever want that again. They will never ever want that again. We will never get that
That's
again.
not true.
And that's
That's not true.
the plan.
No, the liberals want universal health care. They want basic minimum
FDR, yeah, but they'll never. But that's what liberals do want that. I'm not saying that they don't, but the Democrats don't want that. They're not really liberals. The Republicans are not conservatives. Just remember that the conservatives bailed out the banks. That's not what you do when you're conservative. The liberals, funded wars and did coups in Venezuela, overthrew governments, and they did torture and they did drone strikes. That's not what liberals do. These two parties are not liberal or conservative. They're just
I agree with you about
puppets of the rich. They're just puppets of the rich.
Hold on, you're making it too simple though. People had to take a poison pill because it wasn't a question of they wanted to bail out the banks. It was, what are the consequences if the banks fail? How bad would it be for the country? A lot of people said it's going to be worse than if we bail them out. So I agree with you. I don't like the fact that the banks were bailed out, but I feel like people were put in a known situation where it could have been a lot worse if they didn't.
I agree, Dan. That's one of the times where you actually have to dig deep and find your principles and values, what you stand for, what you say you're about, what defines you, and you have to stick with that. Or you could just be a puppet of the rich and then push their policies.
No,
I'd be like Barack Obama and talk about
this is
going to expand healthcare. This is going to grow the middle class. This is going to make sure that every kid goes to school. You can keep your doctor.
You didn't hear what I said.
I didn't hear what you said.
No, bailing out the banks would not help the rich. While it might have helped the rich, if we didn't bail out the banks, it would have devastated the poor. That's the problem.
But don't the rich own the banks? Didn't they own the banks? So wouldn't they devastate them too?
What if the banks were not bailed out? Yeah, but guess what? The rich can absorb that a lot more than the poor people can. And do we want to have more suffering in this country or not? I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Okay, well, we have a difference of opinion on that. I believe what it comes down to is who you are, what you say your principles are. If you're a Christian, for instance, if you're a Christian and you go and do something unchristian-like, that's going against your values. If you're conservative, you bail out the banks.
Yeah, I think that
just proves that. Oh, okay, well,
I think a lot of people said I don't want to. A lot of people said I don't want to bail out the banks, but the consequences of not doing it would be so worse that I have no choice.
We have no idea, honestly, because it would never happen.
You're right.
They had their puppets push their legislation at our faces and talk about how it was going to help the middle class. They lied to us, and then we had a recession. Then we had a recession. Yeah, I know, Dan, but spin falsely. Okay, so say you're a kid, right? And you lie. Yeah. You talk about how you didn't eat the cookie. You're punished, right? Because you lie. Lying is bad. If you're a politician and you say the same thing. Well,
Tommy, I agree with you. I think I agree with you. I'm not saying I don't like it. But what I'm saying is that if you're expecting humans to behave differently, you're living on a planet that I don't live on. Ideally, you are right. People shouldn't do that. But we are not living in an ideal world, and it's not going to be that way. So we have to learn.
People would do that. You set those expectations, and that's why we have laws. Yeah,
but it doesn't work. Look what happened with Russia and China. Communism was such a great idea, and guess what? The people that got into power fucked it up because of human nature, not because of the ideals. So it's just you're denying human nature to say that if only we were living in utopia where people would do that.
I just think it's a cop-out. It's a cop-out to our own. It's a cop-out to our principles. That's what I feel like.
I agree with you in some sense in that I would like people who are idealistic to actually have those positions, but I have not seen that happen. So that's the problem.
They're usually assassinated with a sniper rifle or a butter knife.
That's not a conspiracy theory, because that's not right.
I mean, yeah, totally. This guy with a hunting rifle. He literally killed Kennedy from a rooftop. He was like a marksman, bro. That guy was a marksman.
God, please, let's not go into. I'm not going to go into the whole.
Martin Luther King, bro. Ben said a rooftop, bro.
Martin Luther King. The FBI declassified documents that said that they were trying to get him to kill himself. It's just declassified. They were trying to get him.
Trust me, if they were classified, you would not know the information.
I'm sorry, they were declassified, sir. That's why I know the information. It came out in the New York Times and the Washington Post. They were trying to get him to commit suicide. Hoover said, either you do it or we will. That's what he said in the letter.
I don't know why you're shocked that
I'm not shocked.
And powerful people try to do things.
I'm not shocked at all.
Nixon declared the war on drugs to basically fuck over black people and liberals and the hippies.
You're not wrong, Dan.
I know I'm not
but
wrong.
these people are. I'm just saying. My
Okay.
point is that they're the only people that are willing to do violence to maintain their status.
You
quo.
guys know about the theory of HIV?
We like to vote. They like to do violence and enhanced interrogations.
No.
And propaganda.
Yeah,
I'm not. And we'll get it. We'll get it soon. Someday we'll get it. So we just gotta vote.
Yes. We have to slowly, incrementally do things. And guess what? In a democracy, things go much, much slower than they should, but that's by design. And so I agree it's not going as fast as I want it to go, personally. But
it would if you wrote some checks to the feds and get somebody to kill themselves and declassify that 20 years later. What are we doing in Afghanistan? No clear objective? 20 years later, declassified. Who knew? Oh, well.
We knew there was no... Well,
let's just keep voting.
We knew there was no objective. It was basically just because of the paranoia against the Russians. What are you talking about? There was no objective in Afghanistan.
Dad, you're super smart. You knew that. Not everybody knew that, bro.
Yeah, they did. Of course they did. Watch the fucking news. It was a constant discussion. Why are we in Afghanistan? Everybody knew that. And not initially. Initially, it was like we had to stop Russia. Then it became, why the fuck are we here?
There was a poll. There was a poll in the Gallup poll. 40% of the country thought that Saddam Hussein actually had weapons of mass destruction, and 50% of the country thought that he actually did 9/11. Did you know that?
No,
in 2001.
Yeah. And Tom, you know what?
Crazy, I blame? Right?
I blame American people because guess what? No.
I don't know.
If people actually gave a shit about their own education and about and paying attention to the government, we wouldn't be in this situation. And I know you're right. The government and the rich are manipulating people. You're absolutely right, which I fucking despise. Okay.
I think you're right about that point too. You're right.
I despise that. However, okay, to say that they are the cause and they are preventing people, no. Your average American doesn't give a shit about their education. They don't give a shit about, the government. All they care about is their own, and this is human nature again, their own personal life, making themselves, getting money, whatever. And that sucks because until we as a country come together and say, we're not going to tolerate this shit anymore, we're not going to make change. That's just the problem.
Dan, I agree with that. You got me there.
No, and you want to do it by more radical means than I do.
No, I didn't say I wanted violence. I just this is what's going to happen next because I just
I just want people to fucking.
I didn't say I wanted it.
I want people to decide that they want to get an education. That if their whole and I'm being very pejorative here, and I'm sorry. If their whole town used to be a coal mining town and they want the coal mining jobs to get back, wake the fuck up. That's not going to happen. Figure out a new way to make a living. Oh, you don't want to do a tech job or you want to do something else? Sorry. Time moves on and these jobs change, unfortunately. And we have to retrain. And if you don't, we'll help you. But stop whining about, I want manufacturing to come back to the United States. It can't. China and the East.
We outsourced it.
Well, it's not just outsourcing. They're cheaper. There's so many people that are willing to work
they don't have a
labor.
Wage,
we can't afford it. Okay, so and the thing is that people are in this fantasy land of we can fix that. That's because the politicians lie and say, we'll get the manufacturing jobs back here. No, we won't. We're a knowledge economy now, so you better get on the bandwagon and get into the knowledge economy. It just drives me fucking nuts. And I'm not saying these people are the only reason. You're right. The rich people do
Dan?
bullshit people. Yes.
I just want to make a statement that deplorable. I declare war on you unless you have my children.
That's adorable.
You sexy bastard. I want to lick you like a dog.
I missed it. What happened?
You're adorable.
Nothing. Just saying some gay shit to my friend. So.
The LGBT tragedy in Colorado Springs, it was a tragedy, but they've been trying to kill us for the longest time. They even tried to do an amendment to ban gay marriage. And
I'm part gay. Really I'm not fully committed to the. See, I'm not fully just committed to dick, man. You gotta branch out because you put all your eggs in one basket, you might get pregnant.
Now they're trying to do this whole, respect for marriage thing. I just want healthcare, a living wage, a Green New Deal. I want to legalize marijuana. I want social safety nets to lift people out of tent cities in San Francisco.
Well, that sounds good.
And I want some burgers. with no pickles. Curly
That's
flavor.
a tasty burger.
That's all. Not
Do
too
you
much.
mind if do you mind if I take a sip of your delicious beverage to wash down this tasty big kahuna?
Say what again? That is a tasty burger.
Oh, shout out to you, Tommy.
All right,
Bro,
Tommy,
I
you
love
can
that
get
movie,
the.
bro. I love
All
that
right,
shit.
Tommy, you can get in on this threesome, okay?
I'm happily asexual, and I'm just like I'm with Dan on all this stuff. Like I can't even think about like getting a family or having like without the financial stability and without who knows if we're gonna have inflation, recession, depression with these 48-hour people. In 48 hours, Congress.
You're asexual. My connection went
in
out.
48
So
hours,
you're asexual.
Congress,
Quitters never win.
the Congress
Quitters never
that
win.
literally takes 6 months to do a stimulus package for the American people during a COVID pandemic. They literally buffered the stock market with government money. Trillions of dollars they printed, Steve Mnuchin and Trump, and they just fucking buffered that shit, and nobody even realized that it crashed because they did it so fast. And I want the Congress to just work for us that fast, but I know that's never going to happen because we're poor.
It's gonna be okay because we're all gonna die of nuclear warfare anyway. So,
Hey,
I mean,
Dan, so like
Zelensky.
Zelensky, huh? So he lied about the missiles. We're propping up a literal homicidal, lying guy who like shoots his own political guys with rubber bullets, and we say he's worse than Putin. We literally picked the worst people. Remember, we picked the Mujahideen to get rid of the Soviets. We literally picked the people that are going to attack us next.
They're not sending us the best people. They're sending us our worst. They're sending the worst people. Okay.
We have a knack for
worst people over here.
We have a knack for
selling criminals.
We have a knack for selling the people that are going to attack us weapons.
Tommy,
we have a knack for that.
People aren't good or bad. People aren't good or bad.
Come on,
Tommy. People aren't good or bad. They're a spectrum, and I think
you're right.
In the spectrum, I'm not saying that Zelensky is perfect, but
he's a liar.
He's better than Putin. If I had to support one of the two, it would be Zelensky over Putin, no question. Putin.
Dan, I'd like you to come on my live stream and have this whole because this is a long conversation.
Let's be real, though.
Let's be real,
Tommy, Dan. Let's be real. The only opinions you have is just based on the propaganda machines that you have listened to. Your
not really. Actually, I look at documents that they write themselves. I don't listen to the news.
No, you're absolutely correct.
They've been wrong about everything from Jesse Smollett to weapons of mass destruction.
I would say I'm
right, but you learn that from some kind of media. All your
the media called what they're writing their laws, their bills.
It's not like you're out here being an investigative journalist, like subpoenaing freedom of speech records.
I'm not a journalist, but I can read their bills.
Therefore, everything you're spewing out, somebody wrote or somebody made a video on.
You don't got to be a journalist.
The hypocrisy here.
You don't got to be a journalist to read the bills they're writing, bro.
It's not really hypocrisy. I'm also going by like what Putin has done. Like the number
if you literally, you can radicalize someone so easy. Just you pump them full of propaganda.
Or you drone strike their Afghanistan farm.
And yes, I agree. The Mujahideen, we trained them, and then we allowed 9/11 to happen, so the government could seize control. And we forget that the Zionists control our media.
Oh shit! It's Kanye.
The Zionist and globalist. I didn't say. Hey, I didn't say the forbidden word. Okay.
That Jews.
What's the forbidden word? Is it like
you already know who you
it
can't
reminds with
it
rhymes with Jews. It rhymes with
you all are ignorant. Rich people.
I didn't say Jews. I said Zionists.
Yeah, and let me school you.
Trying something different. Now.
Rich people with wealth and power. Now, yeah, there are a lot of Jews in the media, but they do not.
You can't talk about it like that, bro. You gotta say Zionists.
No, we can talk about it like that. Shut up. I was born Jewish. I can talk about whatever I want.
Well, that's a fair point.
Here's the point. They do not.
You want to know how to get shadow banned so fast? Recommend somebody to read the protocols of the Elders of Zion.
So first of all,
the protocols of the Elders of Zion.
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's a fictitious document that has no basis in reality. So if you think there's actually any historical information in that, you're wrong and you're fucked up. Secondly, rich people control things.
I can't tell if he's joking or serious.
I'm just saying, rich people control things. And if you say, well, there are a lot of rich Jews, okay, but it doesn't mean they control things in some secret cabal. That's like saying, I don't know, there are a lot of rich Christians.
Oh, bro,
there
I
are.
watched the show Blacklist, and I don't know, man.
Okay,
No, I
you're
know.
set. You're set, bro. You're all set. You're all set there.
I know. It doesn't work that way, because it doesn't work that way. I mean, this is what's so fucking stupid.
Okay, I'm gonna send you.
Stop.
Okay, I'm gonna send
Hold
you an undisputable article. I'm gonna send you an undisputable
Whatever.
article.
Is it from Blacklist?
You send whatever you want.
Dan,
my point
please.
is,
go ahead. Yeah.
Conspiracies are out in the open. This is what people are so fucking stupid. You don't need a secret group of people meeting in smoke-filled rooms to affect policy. Rich people.
Do you know this guy on here? Do you know this guy on here named Cyber?
Yeah, I know Cyber very well. Yeah.
Adorable, Deplorable is like the anti-Cyber. He's like, Adorable, Deplorable is like Jesus, and Cyber is the devil.
Really? I like them both, so I find that hard to believe. I guess that, I don't know. I like Jesus.
Cyber is literally the devil, bro. He's the fucking devil.
Listen to me, and we talk a lot.
No. I mean, I think, here's the thing. If you're going to promote conspiracy theory bullshit, I mean, that's just bullshit. Rich and powerful people are going to spend money on policies that support the things they want. Okay? It's not a conspiracy.
Dude, I was just joking about the protocols.
Yeah, I can't tell if you're joking or not, bro. Like,
other people listening
good.
might not think you're joking, and it's fucking.
I can tell.
That's like saying, yeah, you know, all whites are skinheads.
Dude, okay.
Nazis.
You can't say that I'm trying to like. You can't say that I'm trying to promote nasty ideology, because 99% of people are not going to be smart enough to know even what that document is. Okay, and
that's the problem.
I'm just going to tell you, I was trolling, so I was joking around, and I didn't.
It's okay. It's okay. Rockefeller, and Rothschild didn't hear you, bro. It's okay.
No, please don't.
Yeah, fuck the Rothschilds though, and the Clintons.
So Dan, do you like Zelensky more because like you're one of his brothers? Like, is that why?
No, I'm an atheist. I'm not Jewish. No.
Okay.
I'm
ignorant when it comes to this stuff.
I'll answer the question. I don't know much about Zelensky, but I do know a lot about Putin. And Putin is a cold son of a bitch who I do not support. Any person that keeps an iron grip on his power and supports assassination and was the head of KGB with all the shit he did with KGB. And Zelensky might be corrupt, because I've heard that Ukraine is corrupt. But you know what? And again, I get it from the media, so you're right. I'm not necessarily informed. I know what Putin.
And he lied about a missile to try to get us involved in NATO.
Okay.
That's pretty crazy, right?
I'm not surprised.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing: is Putin. All Putin is Putin is Hitler without an expansion pack. He didn't get the DLC.
Putin is an autocrat that wants to keep power and will do whatever he has to do it, and will also brutalize his own people, which I really don't like. So
we not brutalize
Zelensky would brutalize his own people. He would do it.
Do we not brutalize our own people in America?
I get your point, Dan.
I'm saying is that no human being is black or white, good or bad, and that if in this conflict I support Zelensky over Putin. First of all, Putin invaded Ukraine. It wasn't like Zelensky decided he's taking parts of Russia. So right then and there,
he was fine. He was happy just shooting his political rivals with rubber bullets and drowning them and putting them in prison. So
I'm not sure. His previous
he was fine with that.
Was corrupt. I don't know if he did that.
He had his own little space with the Azov battalion. So I've been drinking, guys. I gotta go to bed. I gotta work tomorrow. Again, I gotta invite you on my live stream. I do politics on Tuesdays. And I'd love to talk to you about this.
Let's go on an app where they don't censor you and try to cancel you.
I just want to go on an app where there's not a dude trolling about serious fucking questions that I really want to know, and I can't hear that.
Right. Well, Tommy, we can talk later. Have a good night.
Bro. Hey, I followed you. See you later, bro. TommyNationPolitics.com, guys. Bye.
Free thinking, innovative, and totally open-minded. Tommy